Ryan, you play fast pitch softball, don't you?
Baseball.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Good correction. Have you ever been injured playing the game?
Yes, I have.
What happened?
It was in high school actually. I was running, I was playing left field, and I was running to catch a fly ball. And right as I was about to catch it, and it wasn't a real difficult one, but it went through the lights right as I was about to catch it, and it went over my mitt and hit me in the head. And it almost knocked me out, but the shortstop almost caught the ball. That's how hard it hit me and flew.
Well, I just thought that might explain a lot.
Did you know that? All right, so I'm Ryan Malnar. I'm a personal injury attorney. I run my own law firm, and I am presenting February 8th. I know there was some ruffles, some people wanting to move me, so glad we got a chance to talk. So we are presenting today. Next slide. I want to introduce my family. This is my wife Amanda and my 3 kids, and then Dylan, and they're the reason I do what I do and why I'm passionate about my profession, because I love my family. They're always number one for me, and so I couldn't do a presentation without showing who they are. And I got a couple more pictures here. My kids are crazy, and we have a lot of fun. Next slide. And so that's McKenna, she's 7 now, and then Cheyenne, who's 4, and then our little baby Dylan, who's 7 months now. So.
Got the hairline.
I know, right? He's got my hairline. So just a little background on me, and I know I covered this about 6 months ago, but one thing, I love to negotiate. I mean, it's something that I've done it since high school, and even college and after. My friends regularly would pull their money and hand it to me and say, see what you can get us. And so I just love doing that, and I love that that's what my job is about most of the time as an attorney, is that I'm negotiating. And so, I love what I do. It brings me joy to be able to negotiate and get a good result for my clients. The other thing is going to trial on cases. I enjoy going to trial when I need to, and I'm not afraid to do it. I have the experience to be able to do that. When I was in the Air Force, I tried a lot of cases. My last year, I tried 16 trials, and that's a lot. Typically in the civil world, as a plaintiff's attorney, you're lucky if you're trying 1 case a year. And so, if my clients need to go to trial, I'm in a position where I'm comfortable doing that if it's necessary. So, next slide. And this is my wife. She's a paralegal. We met in 2005, and she actually, I don't know what happened. After we got married, she quit being a paralegal and went into the insurance industry, but now it's actually benefiting us quite a bit because she knows both industries. The next slide. And Kayla joined our firm actually last summer, but she's now with us full-time. She graduated from Pikes Peak Community College in their paralegal studies program. And you may have talked to Michelle as well. She's doing an internship with us. She's also a paralegal in that program, so that's kind of who you're talking to when you call us. Next slide. Okay, so I went over this a little bit on my areas of practice last time, so I want to focus a little more on the insurance. Your bodily injury insurance, and your insurance agents are going to know this, but your bodily injury is going to cover the person that you injure. Okay, that's the liability insurance for any liability. Your first party claims, which I help people out with as well, is your uninsured or underinsured motorist protection. If you don't have UIM insurance, you need it. Everybody needs it. It protects you. There are so many drivers on the road without insurance. I just signed a client this week, big accident. The other person did not have insurance at all. So you need the insurance coverage to make sure you protect you and your family, okay? That's very important. Another one is medical payments coverage. Now you say, hey, I've got health insurance, I don't need medical payments coverage. I say no. You need at least $10,000 to $25,000 in medical payments coverage, because the medical payments coverage lets you take care of the bills and the stuff right now. Sometimes the health insurance is going to deny payment on your case because it was caused by a third party. Okay, I've seen that happen. And so the medical payments coverage gets it paid right up front, that hospital visit, or if you want to go to a chiropractor or someone else that may not be covered by your insurance, you need to have this medical payments coverage, all right? So those are two insurances that I sell all the time to my clients. I have a client that just got in another car accident last month. He finally had good coverage after I had a long talk with him about the types of insurance he had. Another benefit of the medical payments is it's not subrogatable against your settlement claim, where your health insurance, whatever they pay, is going to subrogate. Okay, so a couple education things that are very important to protect yourself when an injury does happen. So, right, Scott, am I on?
You're on.
I'm on, all right. So most of my cases are car accidents, and I also do slip and falls, wrongful death suits. Anytime there's an injury that's caused by somebody else, that's the kind of case that I'm going to work on. I do help with, occasionally property things or like that, but I only do it for my injury clients because it's part of me doing a little bit more for my clients than other attorneys might handle. And so anyway, so that's kind of the scope of things. I don't do Social Security, disability, or workers' compensation. Those are different animals, and so I want to specialize in this field, and so I keep the scope of my practice very narrow. Next slide. Okay, so I talked about this a little bit. Before I had all these cases in the last 6 months, these are the cases in the last 3 months that have come up on appeal in regards to personal injury cases that are affecting the way I think and approach cases, okay? This is why it's so important that somebody that does your personal injury case just does personal injury, because they need to know this, right? And if they're doing 10 areas of law or 3 areas of law, are they reading these cases and making sure they're up to date on the details? Because cases come down to the details. Next slide. I'm not going to talk about this stuff because I covered it pretty well last time, but next slide. So there's all these insurance companies, and a lot of us think, they have great marketing campaigns saying that we're taking care of you, right? Next slide. Something to think about. Now, these are just examples. I'm not saying that State Farm or Allstate are bad, but if you want to talk, let's have a one-to-one. But these are companies that are making billions of dollars in profit. Many of the insurance companies are going to be private companies or publicly traded companies. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to maximize their profit. Insurance is not a bad thing. I carry lots of insurance, Scott knows. But the important thing is that they're not advocating for you in your case. There's someone that's trying to minimize your claims so they can maximize their profit. They have a duty to their owner or their shareholders to do that. Next slide. So, and then we've got great advertising from attorneys. And so I get a bias that I have to deal with because they think that all my clients are greedy. And next slide. So I'm fighting this image in El Paso County every time I walk in a courtroom and I go in front of a jury. I have to fight all of those biases. And most of the time, my clients are not greedy. There are some that are. And I have a straight face-to-face talk with them, and usually it's ending with me saying, you need to find a different attorney, or you need to change your thinking. Most of them change their thinking. But my clients are, you wonder, when my client gets hurt and they have 25,000 medical bills and the insurance comes back and says, yeah, we'll offer to settle your case for $4,000. Who's being greedy? Is it the billion-dollar insurance company, or is it my clients? And so, but that's the bias that I understand. That's the bias that I'm fighting against as I go and do these cases, okay? And so that's kind of some of the challenges. And one of the ways that the insurance company does this, next slide. They talk about low-impact cases, that basically if you're driving under 10 miles an hour, they don't think you can get hurt. And there's this YouTube video, just an example that I love to show, and I've talked about this a couple times. At 6 miles an hour, you have 9 G's of force on your neck because your head that weighs 10 pounds is suddenly 90 pounds, right? That can put a lot of strain on your upper back and your neck, and that's just a 6 mile an hour accident. So when somebody hits you at 20 or 25 miles per hour, and the insurance company comes back and says, oh, well, you were driving in a truck and it seems like it hit the frame, so the truck really absorbed all of the energy. Well, that's not the truth, right? And so what I do in my cases is I get to the truth. And sometimes it takes experts, sometimes it takes litigation. But I love doing that because it brings me great satisfaction to take a case where, just like the one I was talking about today, for 2.5 years, the case sat with other attorneys trying to get it resolved. And so using the way that I approach cases and going to the adjuster and litigating, within 3 months, we get the person what they should have had a long time ago. My cases don't take 2.5 years. I can get them resolved quicker because when I approach cases, I'm approaching them as if we're getting ready to go to trial. Next slide. All right. That was really good. So if you want to learn more about me or my firm, please visit our website. It's coautoinjury.com, or give me a call. Again, I love the experience and I love what I do because I'm passionate about my clients and making sure and getting a result for them.